council in terms of their involvement in this arena process at this point?
Yeah, what we're doing is we're gonna talk to, and have already had conversations with council members, letting them know what the process is. This task force, the Citizens Task Force will have a working group of probably 7 to 11 people on it. And then we'll have a much broader group of people that'll be a part of the bigger task force. And as many people who want can be on that, and city council members can get updated or participate in any shape or form that they like. So again, I think it's gonna be a very inclusive process, and one that I think everyone will feel very good about.
How do you expect your Citizens Commission or committee to come up with a concept that the NBA didn't come up with and the Loops haven't come up? What magical formula have they missed?
You know, I think from my vantage point, if you look at the history of Sacramento, there were some trailblazers back in 1983, 84, and 85 that brought a professional team to Sacramento, and that was a big deal. Greg Lukenbill and a host of people. That was a big deal. And we were a small to mid-sized market maybe, and no one thought that it could happen, but it did. It has happened. And now we are in a situation, if you go back over the last 10 years, we've had a number of failed attempts to create a new arena in Sacramento. The NBA itself, they came out and said that they wanted to drive this process over the last 3 years, and have made some progress out at Cal Expo, but not the kind of progress I think any of us can celebrate or stand up and clap, you know, at this particular point. So what it led me to believe, you know, as a mayor, you know, what are we gonna do? Are we gonna sit back and just wait and hope that something comes about? Or do we say, look, let's take the reins and let's drive in a proactive manner, and let's bring the best and brightest together. You know, we have limited resources, you know, in the city right now because obviously the budget challenges. But if I can get a host of people that are very smart and have the capacity to deliver and evaluate things of this magnitude together for free, then this group of people will evaluate proposals that come in Sacramento, as well as, go around and visit 3 or 4 cities or have conversations around the country to figure out how other cities have done it. And, you know, when I talk about the rules of the game, the 4th rule is to think inside and outside the box. We may have to be very creative and innovative in terms of figuring out how we finance and pay for this arena. But we're just not gonna be a city that just sits around and waits. That's, I guess, what I'm getting at. We're gonna be proactive, and we're gonna initiate this process, and I think at the end of the day, we're gonna create a very important public dialogue with our community over the next 45 days and the next 90 days after that, so the community and everyone is involved in this discussion about who we wanna be as a city, how much a professional team means to us, how much an entertainment and sports complex means to the overall profile and culture and quality of life in our community. All those are very important factors. I think in 2006, people felt like something was jammed down their throat, and it was about taxes. And the first rule of the game is the taxpayers come first, and it's gonna be a different dialogue in our community.
Who's on the task force?
I will be publicly introducing the task force either on Thursday of this week, as early as Thursday of this week, and if not, then early next week. I'm not gonna say early. Thursday of this week, but no later than next week.
Kwong told us that city staff want to ask the council to allow FPP projects to start before building permits are issued, as long as the business has a written work authorization. What do you think about that idea?
I'm gonna go back. I would go, for me, I wanna know what went wrong the first time.
Mm-hmm.
And we need to conclude that investigation, and I need to have the certainty in place that if we're continuing to do an audit by a third party of that particular department, that will then give us an opportunity to rectify or correct some of the mistakes in the past. So that's kind of the first thought. In terms of this program has been very, very effective. And I'd be very interested to hear what my colleagues on the council say. Again, I'm inclined, I won't even use the word inclined, I'm very supportive of the program. We need to just do some tweaks and make sure that we're not making some of the same mistakes in the past. So I haven't heard David Kwan give me a briefing or all of council, so I would look forward to certainly hearing that and being part of that discussion.
Who wrote the request for offers for the arena?
There was a group of people, some that are gonna be on the task force, some that weren't, and that's why it was a draft, so it was a group of people, both on the task force and not. It's pretty much a boilerplate template, with a few specifications that relate to Sacramento, but it's not, they're half a dozen, they're not, it's not anything that's unique, it's pretty similar in terms of what you would normally, propose in terms of some general guidelines. Who's your development team, what's your timeline, how you gonna pay for it, where's the location, and then we laid out the timeline of the process.
I mean, can you provide the names of the people who were on that working group on the RFO?
Yeah, no, we're gonna release, again, all the people that worked on the task force, that are gonna be on the task force either Thursday or next week.
What are your thoughts on the Capitol Mall redesign, and based on other capital cities that you've been to, what would you like to see down there?
Yeah, this is an interesting topic for me. Let me start with this, that I like the idea of an international competition. That excites me. It's thinking big, it's thinking bold. That excites me. Again, I think we have an opportunity to be world class. I mean, that particular mall was constructed in 1911, and it was supposed to be the front door, the gateway to the Capitol. And you know, when I travel around the country and I go to other capital cities, or you just take Washington D.C. and what they've been able to do, you know, with their mall has been incredible. I think we have a tremendous opportunity here. The only caution I would say is that this is coming before council tonight, and I haven't heard the in-depth, kind of comprehensive thoughts for those that have been involved in this process over the last couple of years. I just don't want to not do it right, so I'll be very interested to hear what comes before council tonight. We've got to do it the right way, and that's really the only couple of questions I have. I think there's a tremendous upside. I will say this, that in Sacramento, we don't have a lot of resources right now, so I'm excited the fact that the city controls that street. I'm excited that there's funds to pay for at least an aspect of this particular competition. But we've got to look at J, K, and L corridor and all those things to make sure that what happens on Capitol Mall ultimately complements it and doesn't work against it. And I'll give you an example. That if you look at the J, K, and L corridor from 13th Street to the freeway, those streets used to have a grid that ran all the way through to Old Sacramento. Now, there's all kind of barriers and impediments that are man-made. So the convention center, downtown plaza, a freeway, there are 3 barriers that disrupt our grid. I want to make sure whatever we do that we don't look back at Capitol Mall 50 years from now, 100 years from now, and go, who was that group involved in Sacramento politics and created something that we want to tear down or redo? So I think we just need to have a really bold vision and make sure we're considering all the key elements in making those decisions.
The Integrity Committee for Inspector Generals today said they were clearing Gerald Walpin of any wrongdoing, his investigation of you in St. Hope. Just wondering what your thoughts were on that.
I'm not aware of any of that, have no thoughts, and no comment on
Evan, congratulations on your engagement.
it. Why didn't somebody say one more question?
Congratulations on your engagement. Any thoughts about, or anything you can share with us about your marriage plans, and how does a bi-coastal relationship work? How do you make that work?
Let me first say, you know, as I said earlier, it's an exciting time in both of our lives, and you know, Michelle's an amazing person. A lot of you have met her, certainly know about the work that she does, and you know, I couldn't be more blessed or happier. So I want to say that. In terms of our relationship, you know, believe it or not, we haven't talked about all the details of, you know, when we're getting married, where we're getting married, all those type of things. What we have done is say that, you know, she has very important work in Washington D.C. and her job is not done, and I have very important work in Sacramento, and my job is far from done. And our engagement will be probably a longer engagement than typical, and the bi-coastal piece actually, you know, could be worse, and I know that sounds strange, but I end up back for my duties as mayor on the East Coast probably once a month. I'm in Washington, New York, or Boston somewhere once a month, and she's out here once a month. So 2 times a month we end up usually getting lucky enough to see each other, or my travels allow her to come to a city